The Toronto Raptors' best player has become a serious problem for the Washington Wizards, as they now face a 3-2 series deficit in their 2018 NBA playoffs first-round series, and the bleak reality that one more loss means their season is over. DeMar DeRozan, who began this first-round series with a modest 17 points in Game 1, has since raised his game to a new level to beyond even what we have seen in the past. In Games 2 to 5, DeRozan has averaged 31.8 points, including his 32-game outburst in Game 5 that tilted the series in Toronto's favor. DeRozan is averaging 28.8 points through 5 games against the Raptors. That's up considerably from his 22.5-point career playoff average. DeRozan scored his 32 points in Game 5 with efficiency. He shot 12 for 24 from the field and even made 3 of his 4 shots from 3. He didn't even need the free throw line like he normally does. DeRozan shot 6 free throws, less than his regular season average. The Wizards are having trouble with DeRozan, particularly in the first half. DeRozan is averaging 14.8 first-half points during the playoffs, second only to LeBron James. DeRozan had 20 points by halftime in Game 5. DeMar was in his element tonight, forward Kelly Oubre Jr. said. He got it going early. It was kind of hard to shut him off. The Wizards are paying for disrespecting DeRozan's three-point shot. He made just 31.2% from a long range in the regular season, but is shooting threes at a 45.5% clip in the playoffs. If DeRozan is knocking down shots from outside, his offensive game is as complete as just about anyone in the NBA. He has shown in this series an impressive ability to not only get to the rim, but finish through contact or draw fouls. DeRozan does a good job of maintaining body and ball control going straight up against Wizards big men and is often rewarded by the referees. He shot a playoff career-high 18 free throws in Game 4. The Wizards are actually doing a decent job of taking away his mid-range shots, which usually account for much of his points. Though DeRozan is hitting an impressive 66.7% from 5 to 9 feet, up from his season clip of 47.6, his numbers are down from further out. DeRozan is shooting 40% from 10 to 14 feet out, down from 41.5% in the regular season, and just 28.6% from 15 to 19 feet, down from 43.7%. DeRozan is hurting the Wizards from long range and within 9 feet of the rim. He is taking what the Wizards are giving him and Washington has to adjust. We've got to pretty much get it out of his hands. Make sure we take care of everybody else, Oubre said. The Wizards should look to how they defended him in Game 4 as a good example of how to limit his impact. DeRozan had 35 points but required 29 shots from the field and 18 free throws to get there. Washington forced DeRozan into an inefficient night and forced others to try to beat them. The result was the Wizards' best defensive game overall, as the Raptors scored a series-low 98 points. DeRozan isn't the only defensive concern for the Wizards as they look ahead to Game 6 on Friday. Backup point guard Delon Wright scored 18 points for the second time this series, and Toronto hit 11 threes in the game. The Wizards held the Raptors to just 7 threes in Game 4, and it was no coincidence they won that game. They have to lock down the perimeter and, as this series has shown, that includes DeRozan even though he isn't known for making threes. NBC Sports Washington is on Apple News. Favorite us. More from Wizards-Raptors series. Wall boycotts Drake's music during series. Wizards ice cold in fourth quarter of Game 5. Wall reached peak form amazingly quick. The Washington Wizards lost to the Toronto Raptors 108-98 in Game 5 of their first-round playoff series on Wednesday night. Here's analysis of what went down. Ice cold. When the Wizards needed it most, their offense failed them. With John Wall running the show, they can traditionally score with the best of them. But from the 4:05 mark in the fourth quarter, they went scoreless for a stretch of 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Meanwhile, the Raptors converted turnovers into points to close the game on a 14-5 run. The Wizards shot brick after brick from a long range and missed 11 of their last 15 shots. It was a shocking collapse in a game that had been going well for the Wizards. By beating the Wizards in Game 5, the Raptors took a 3-2 series lead, which historically means they have nearly an 83% chance of winning the series. Those aren't good odds for the Wizards, who can look at one area of the court to blame. The Wizards made only 5 threes on 26 attempts. The Raptors, conversely, went 11 for 25, 44% from the perimeter. The Wizards' 5 threes were their fewest in a game since Jan. 12. The Wizards have now lost 7 straight postseason games on the road. DeRozan was a killer, as has been the case this entire series. DeMar DeRozan led the charge for Toronto. The perennial All-Star came out on fire with 20 points in the first half alone. This time, it wasn't just free throws. He was 4 for 4 at the half, but 7 for 13 from the field and 2 for 2 from 3. Usually, threes aren't his game. DeRozan kept it up in the second half to score 32 points on 12 of 24 from the field. That's a pretty efficient night. Otto looked a bit hurt. Otto Porter, who was held to 9 points and 4 rebounds, didn't appear to be moving very well. He was running around with a limp, which suggests his right lower leg strain is still bothering him. Head coach Scott Brooks said last week that Porter is 100%, but that doesn't seem like the case. Perhaps there was some sort of setback in the time since. Porter, however, is such a smart player and such a good shooter that he can still make the most of his time on the court. Solid start. The Wizards aren't used to playing well in the first quarter this series. They entered Game 5 with an average deficit of -7.2 points in the first quarter. In this game, however, they led by 1 point after 1. That was thanks to a buzzer beater by John Wall, 26 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. Ian Mahinmi got the offensive rebound and it set up Wall for a last-second shot. He got to one of his spots and sent it in. What a start. John Wall beats the buzzer to end the first quarter and give the Wizards a lead. Live stream, https://t.co/uvik3ibga3cpic.twitter.com/casf86ht8, NBC Sports Wizards, at NBC Wizards, April 25, 2018. It was just the second time in 5 games this series that the Wizards have been leading after 1. The other time was Game 3, when the Wizards beat the Raptors handily to earn their first win. The Wizards, though, couldn't finish. They also couldn't protect the ball. At least Wall couldn't, as he committed 7 turnovers, 1 short of his playoff career high. Backup PGs, the Raptors again played without point guard Fred VanVleet, their best bench player and a guy who is arguably one of the best backup point guards in basketball. The loss has been evident for the most part, despite his replacement DeLon Wright doing a solid job, including with 18 points in Game 5. On Wednesday, Washington's backup point guard also shined. Despite not playing a single game during the regular season, Ty Lawson continues to make smart plays and create scoring opportunities for others. He had 4 assists in this game and made one of the best plays of the night. Check out this move he put on to set up Ian Mahinmi. Ty Lawson? More like Ty Saucin, live stream, https://t.co/uvik3ibga3cpic.twitter.com/nxww3s6n, NBC Sports Wizards, at NBC Wizards, April 25, 2018. And this dude was playing in China like 2 weeks ago. If he keeps this up, there will be an easy case to make that the Wizards should re-sign him for next season. Clearly, they want Tomas Satoransky to play more off the ball and the coaching staff hasn't gained full trust in him. Lawson and Satoransky could make a solid reserve backcourt if they have some time to develop some chemistry. Up next, the Wizards and Raptors are back at it on Friday night in Washington for Game 6. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. on NBC Sports Washington. NBC Sports Washington is on Apple News. Favorite us. More from Wizards-Raptors series. Wall has reached peak form amazingly quick. Wall is boycotting Drake's music during series. Oubre is helping the Wizards win. In many ways the Wizards were in a very similar spot in less than 1 year ago. After dropping the first 2 games on the road against the Celtics in the second round of the 2017 playoffs, the Wizards held serve to lock up the series at 2-2. They then lost in Boston in Game 5 and ultimately dropped the series. This year the Wizards find themselves at 2-2 against the Raptors, this time in the first round. Again, they are on the road for Game 5, knowing it will be pivotal and could determine the series. This time, they hope for a much different result. It's super important, forward Markieff Morris said. Ideally, what we're looking for is to come back to DC, up 3-2 with a chance to close it out on our home floor. The Wizards value continuity more than most teams in the NBA. According to Basketball Reference's roster continuity chart, they are the only team in the NBA to retain 75% of their roster year-over-year in each of the past 3 seasons. The Wizards have kept 82% of their roster from the 2016-17 season. Only 3 teams have held on to more players, the Spurs, Blazers and, ironically, the Raptors. Continuity can have its pitfalls. It can breed complacency and, for certain personality types, discord. Things can very easily go stale. But in this case, the fact these players have been in the same scenario before and know very well how important Game 5 is could work to the Wizards' advantage. I definitely will bring it up. I won't dwell on it. Just bring it up. We have to do better, head coach Scott Brooks said. Hopefully those experiences will pay for us and give us that toughness that we don't want to be on the losing side of it again. If the Wizards didn't already know the importance of Game 5, they could look at the historical odds. Teams that win Game 5 in a 7-game series tied at 2-2 go on to win the series 82.8% of the time with a 164-34 all-time record. Teams that lead a 7-game series 3-2 go on to win the series 84.8%, 251-45 of the time. The Wizards could also look at the home-road numbers. When series are tied at 2-2, the home team has a 22-13 record in Game 5 since 2003 and a series record of 26-9. The Raptors not only won the first 2 games of this series at home, but they tied the Rockets for the best home record in the NBA this season at 34-7. One of those defeats were to the Wizards. Washington, however, has to get over a hump on the road in the playoffs. Though they have won 8 consecutive home postseason games, they have lost 6 straight on the road. The last one they won was in Atlanta in Game 6 of the first round last year. They did not win on the road against the Celtics in the second round and as a result lost the series. Morris and Brooks offered keys to breaking that streak. On the road, you've got to really lock in, Morris said. I was telling the guys yesterday that when you're up 20 it's only really 10 when you're on the road because they have the crowd to give them momentum in the game. We have to have a better start. We have to bring that edge on the road, Brooks said. We haven't seemed to get into an offensive rhythm there. I thought the second game actually helped. We were down by 23 or so and then really started moving the ball and attacking their feet. Even though we didn't win the game, it gave us some confidence. Brooks was referring to Game 2 when the Wizards outscored the Raptors 61-54 in the second half. They held Toronto to just 2 threes during that stretch, including 0 in the third quarter. That may have been a breakthrough. Now they have to do it for 48 minutes. NBC Sports Washington is on Apple News. Favorite us. More from Wizards-Raptors series. What Wall is doing should not be taken for granted. Wall is boycotting Drake's music during series preview. Wizards-Raptors Game 5.